face the New York Knicks for the second time in, I think, a 3-day period. We're going to break it all down, talk about it, interact with you guys right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, fam. Oh, man, it's such a frustrating time period to be a Bulls fan. It's just, honestly, like, all jokes aside, this is just frustrating. It's frustrating right now to be a Bulls fan for many different reasons. When you look at the play of the team, when you look at the roster construction, when you look at, like, this team is just really underperforming in a big way. And you know, when AK decided to bet on continuity, I was one of the people who understood the bet on continuity, considering, you know, you had a team that had only been together for a year. You had a team that was missing their starting point guard in Lonzo Ball. I understood the bet on continuity. But the way that everything's shaken down since then, it's left much to be desired in the play of the team, right? I'm past questioning the heart of the team. I do think the team, even in losses, does play with some heart. It's just the execution that's been severely lacking for this team, and they're executing underneath what we know that they can do. And Billy Donovan, to his credit, right, it's not much credit I'm going to give Billy Donovan, but, you know, I think inserting Alex Caruso in that starting lineup has helped the ball movement considerably, but it's not what it would be if Lonzo Ball was in there. I also think when you look at this team and, like, DeMar DeRozan, while, you know, coming into the season, I talked about DeMar DeRozan maybe having a bit of a fall off. And I don't think the fall off has come if you look at the raw numbers. It has a little bit, right? He's definitely averaging less than what he did. But the biggest part of DeMar's fall off so far this season has really been the lack of execution in the first half of games for the most part. DeMar DeRozan has put together some of the most awful first half of games offensively and defensively that I've seen from him since he's become a Chicago Bull, for sure. And that is just, it's been evident in the play of the team. And so, you know, that the not using players correctly, the fact of the matter of, like, the bet on continuity being part of hoping that younger players were developed, Billy Donovan not putting those younger players in big situations, right, to really grow their game. It's been tough. It's really been tough for the Chicago Bulls, man. And I hope that it does turn around. I've said it before in the pregame, the pre-recorded episode, I should say today, that the Bulls still do have a ton of opportunity and chance to turn it around. The season's not over. I saw somebody in the comments earlier today say the Bulls season is over if they lose tonight, and it's not. It's really not. Much to the dismay of some Bulls fans. But at the end of the day, it's this, right? Until this team shows us what we deserve to see as Bulls fans, as people who put and contribute a lot of our time into this, it's been hard. It's been hard for Bulls fans. So, you know, let's see how you guys feel about it. I'm going to go to the comments. I just wanted to kind of start it off with that. You guys know as well, I've been one of the more positive Bulls fans over the course of the summer. I've said that I've understood. I've broke down why the additions of Andre Drummond and Goran Dragic were important to this team, and that part has come true, right? I want to, as much as there has been moves and questions about how this team is played, I think when you look at the signings of Goran Dragic and Andre Drummond, they've performed better than a lot of the players that I wanted, other Bulls fans wanted the Bulls to go out and get. So those acquisitions, they do get credit for that. But I do think, like, the lack of size on this team, I understand that Derrick Jones Jr. probably would not be a Chicago Bull right now if Danilo Gallinari had signed with the Bulls. And just that change and the addition of size and shooting from Danilo versus what we have from Derrick Jones Jr., I understand that. But, like, Derrick Jones Jr. had, and what he's brought defensively, what he's brought in transition, what he's brought blocking shots, are all things that Danilo necessarily wouldn't have brought himself either. But yeah, this team it's just really underperforming. It's honestly, it sucks so far this season. But let's go ahead and get into your guys' comments, see how you guys feel. We got Chi-Town Javier in the building. He says, AK is not going to trade for Miles Turner, nor will the Pacers trade him to us. I disagree with that. I think if the Bulls, the Bulls could have a package that could, we got to pause on that one. They could have a package. But with that being said, the Bulls could put together a deal that I think the Pacers would accept for Miles Turner. I just don't know if the Bulls would be willing to offer what it would take to get Miles Turner. That's my opinion on that one. Dilbert in the building. He says, let's go. What's going on, fam? Sluggo, Turner has been on the trade block for years and nobody wants him. He's not the answer. Anytime you see teams publicly shopping guys around and nobody wants them for years, you stay away from them. Well, I think it's this, right? Miles Turner is having a career year this season. And I do think that teams are interested in Miles Turner, but when you look at what you would have to offer to match that contract, considering he's a free agent at the end of the season. So I do think there is interest in Miles Turner. Miles Turner absolutely could help some teams. I don't think he is the answer that some Bulls fans have made him out to be for this team specifically, but I do think when you look at it, is that teams are just willing to wait to free agency. I think that's what it boils down to with Miles Turner, is that teams are literally willing to wait until Miles Turner is a free agent to go after him, rather, I should say, than give up assets to trade for him now. I think that's what we're seeing with Miles Turner. Brian Ventura, my brother, says, Haize, what's going on, fam? MCC's and my little brother from another mother says, what's good, Haize? Let's get this W from your mouth to God's ears, brother. Ivan says, let's go. And man, I hope so, bro. I really hope so. Alana's in the building. You already know Alana is, first of all, Goon is the first lady of Chicago Bulls Central, but Alana is a close second to that. What's going on, Alana? You know I love you. Got rid of Costas, signed Carlick to a two-way deal. Is this a sign a trade is coming, including one of our guards? What's your opinion, Haize? This is what I'll say to this. I think that Kostas Antetokounmpo just sucks. That's just my opinion. Kostas Antetokounmpo has been trash. He looked the best times he looked on the court for the Windy City Bulls was when Dalen Terry was on the court with him. And I think the Bulls really did look at it. I said this when the Bulls signed him. I said that it has to be a basketball reason why the Bulls brought in Kostas Antetokounmpo. And I still do think that they did want to take a look at him. I don't think it was about recruiting Giannis, as some people made it seem and made it out to be. But I think when you look at it, Carlick Jones is just a better player. He's just a better player. Keith, don't miss, says, there's no way we lose to the Knicks twice. Hey, bro, listen, you can't say there's no way nothing with this team. Bulls Troy says, what up, Haize? Thanks for the constantly making me almost crash my car in laughter while I'm listening to the pod. That Io voice. Listen, I'm telling you, Io literally, after that nut injury, Io was like,
put me in, coach. Please put me in, coach. I need to get in this game. I swear to God, my nuts are not bothering me. I got a dick contusion, but I can still play, Coach Donovan. Put me in the game.
That was Io DeSumo after that dick injury. I guarantee it. Saint says, I hate the Knicks. There are two franchises in all of basketball that I legitimately hate. The Knicks are one of them, and the second one is the Miami Heat, and that's only because of the Heatles era. Before that, I actually was a Heat fan. I loved the Heat when they had the year that they won the title with Dwayne and Shaq. I loved that team. But those are the only two franchises I can legitimately say in basketball that I hate. Now, in football, I hate the Packers. I've said it before. If you guys are listening to Chicago Bears Central, my other show, is that my son has to have generational hate when it comes to Aaron Rodgers' kid. If my son is ever in the same vicinity as Aaron Rodgers' kid and they don't punch him in the face, I'm disowning my son. Period. But other than that, the New York Knicks are a close second to that. I hate the Packers, though. I hate the Packers. Saint says Pat deserves more minutes, and he deserves more opportunities with the ball in his hand for sure. I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with you there. Alex Caruso's headband says, who would you trade from DeMar DeRozan? I know that is going to cause some Bulls fans to get to typing. But honestly, I understand what DeMar brings to this team. I understand what he brings, especially in the fourth quarter. I understand what he brings with his ability to just either hit tough shots or get to the free throw line. But I absolutely also think that DeMar DeRozan and how ball heavy he is, isolation heavy, I guess I should say, ball heavy. That's a pause moment. Yeah, I can't believe I just said that. We got a record scratch on that ball heavy. But how isolation heavy he is, I do think that he is hurting the growth and development of Io, the growth and development of Patrick Williams. And my first thing, and it's especially because I think that a team that is competing would want DeMar DeRozan, and I think that would be a better situation for him. If DeMar, for example, went to a team with a strong culture, for example, let's just say, I'm not saying this is at any point that they're interested in DeMar, but if DeMar went to, let's say, to the Warriors, for example, I think his ability to get buckets in tough situations for them could be huge. But he would fall better in line with what that team does. He came to the Chicago Bulls with a bunch of young players and players that just weren't proven, and he has to do what he has to do. But I do think that we'd see better development from certain players if DeMar wasn't there. And I think the Bulls could get a lot back for DeMar as well. So if I had to trade any player from the Chicago Bulls, it's not Vooch, it's not Zach, it's not Kobe, it's DeMar DeRozan. That is the player that I would look to move, for example. Low Baby says, let's all get ready to lose again, bro. Our fam, I don't know if man or woman, but yeah, I feel you on that. If this is the identity Billy was talking about that we have to play with, I'm highly disappointed. That's from Bulls Daily. Absolutely. All offseason, we talked about the Bulls building an identity. I posted the video from training camp when he said, right now we need to establish an identity. Right. All that shit didn't happen. That's why I've said with this team, they got to show me. The days of listening to Billy Donovan's words, the day of listening to AK and Eversley's words, the day of listening to DeMar and Zach's words are over. You got to show me something. And this team ain't showing me shit other than they're a middle-of-the-pack team. PBN Pat says, I want us to go for Sadiq Bey, Cam Reddish, or Emmanuel quickly. Also, Kuz reports he will be a free agent after the season. Sadiq Bey, I like. Cam Reddish, I told you guys before. The fact that Bulls fans shit on, and I'm not saying you do, PBN Patch, I'm talking about in general. Shit on Kobe White, but talk about Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish and Kobe White are basically the same player in the sense that they both are highly inconsistent. They both have tons of potential that hasn't been realized yet. I get it. Cam Reddish is more of a 2-3 than Kobe White is, and he can play positions of need right now for the Chicago Bulls, but he's highly inconsistent as well. Sure, he projects as a 3-and-D player, but that projection hasn't come to fruition for him at all. Delbert in the building says, I wish DeMar would take a 3 every night. He does take a 3 every now and then. He's just not a good 3-point shooter. Brandon Thom says, keep it 100. We lose tonight. I'm going to throw in the towel for this season, saying they can't turn it around. But honestly, it's been rough, and I don't know if my anxiety can take it much longer. And a bunch of Bulls fans feels the same way you do, bro. Whether they want to admit it or not, a bunch of people feel the exact same way that you do, fam. Cordell98, I guess you meant Haize there. Did you watch the CHGO Bull stream yesterday? Mark K, I believe his name, brought really good points, like why DeMar doesn't trust teammates and Zach not showing up often to help DeMar in the half court. This is bullshit. Mark K, I love Mark K, and I understand what he does, and I'm not shitting on him as a podcast. I'm not shitting on him, but Mark K is definitely one of the people who, to me, looks at stats and then tries to fill in the knowledge with stats. And while that is part of the story, it's not the full story. DeMar, it's not about trusting teammates. DeMar is the player who DeMar is. DeMar was a facilitator with much worse teammates in San Antonio, so I can't get behind the thought and theory that, oh, DeMar just doesn't trust his teammates. That's bullshit to me. You build trust, right? Zach has been a player that has increased his efficiency every single season until he got injured last season. So if you don't trust Zach, you're a fucking idiot. So I don't think DeMar's just a limited player. That's who DeMar DeRozan is. He is a limited mid-range player in a game and era in which the mid-range game is all but obsolete. Now, he is super great at it, and he's probably the best bad shot maker in the NBA right now. But at the end of the day, it's this. We've seen what a team can be with having the team on DeMar DeRozan's back. That team didn't get far in Toronto. So for this team to grow, for this team to hit the heights of what this team can be, you have to trust your teammates. You have to put them in a situation to either fail or succeed. Growth comes through failure sometimes. And while DeMar is still doing the 15,000 dribbles and 12 pump fakes to get to the free throw line, that's all cool and dandy. It looks real cute. But it's not going to be successful basketball that gets you anywhere meaningful, and DeMar DeRozan should know that. Marcus Couch in the building says, happy Friday, all. Great day for a rebound Bulls win tonight. Let's stay positive. I hope so. I hope so, from your mouth to God's ears. People picked Jeremy Grant to death last season, too, and called fans idiots for wanting him, just saying he's been good. No player is perfect. Well, he's been good in a specific situation. Keep in mind, and that's the thing that we need to do, and I hate that fans do sometimes, is they try to paint this picture that it's like Jeremy Grant is still a marginal defender. He's still a terrible passer. And he really wouldn't fit in this team in the sense that in the way that he fits in Portland. He fits his particular role in Portland because that's what they needed in that team. When you look at that, they needed a player that's going to be ball dominant, do some things. Jeremy Grant, as much as people try to make him out to be this solid defender, he's not that great of a defender. He's okay. He's not that great of a defender. And look at what he did and how he was as a player when he had much better teammates in Denver. So let's not say like the wanting of Jeremy Grant, especially if it came to trading Patrick Williams for Jeremy Grant, you were going to be sorely disappointed if that. He came to the team with two really good scorers in Anthony Simons and Dame Lillard, and he's been able to fill a role pretty well for that team. But that team is still 16-12 in the Western Conference, and it wouldn't be the same on this Bulls team. Keep in mind also that you have to factor in the fact of how Billy Donovan coaches. Jeremy Grant would not get the amount of shots that he gets in Portland in Chicago, by the way Billy Donovan uses players. Jeremy Grant gets 15.4 shots per game in Portland. He's not getting that in Chicago. There's no way, if you look at Billy Donovan and how he uses players. Matter of fact, I would say this, Jeremy Grant, not to his detriment, Billy Donovan would have Jeremy Grant playing small ball center. At 6'8", he'd have him playing small ball center. He would not be getting what he gets right now in Portland. Alana says, all love, Haize. What's going on, Alana? You know I love you. Got to remember that Miles Turner's numbers are its best because he is a product of Tyrese Halliburton. We don't have that here. Great point from Ricky Fontaine, who was supposed to get a video out to you guys yesterday. He didn't drop the video. Bull Short says, damn it, Haize, luckily I wasn't driving this time. Come on, bro. You already know. You got to be prepared. Austin G in the building says, what's good, Haize? What's going on, Austin? Glad to see you in the building tonight, brother. Ricky Fontaine says, I'll easily take McDaniels. Wouldn't mind that at all. Bull Troy, P. Will going to have those clamps on Randall again, not just to dominate him down the other end too. I hope so. I really hope so. I really hope so. Certification Poppy says, you've been having a lot of pause moments lately, bro. If you know me, you know I live for the pause moment. You love to down talk fan suggestions. Corey, but again, fans last year realistically wanted to trade Vooch, Kobe in the second for Jeremy and were called idiots. Not all fan suggestions. That's a stupid fan suggestion. I'll tell you that right now. That's still idiotic. And that's the thing, like living in the vacuum of just saying, oh, well, this player is averaging 22 points for the Portland Trailblazers and not factoring in, again, Jeremy Grant is a terrible passer. If you traded Vooch for Jeremy Grant with Vooch's passing, even if you don't like what Vooch does offensively, and that passing would completely kill the Bulls offense. No, that's still an idiotic trade. It's still stupid. And that's the issue with some fan suggestions is that they look at it in a vacuum. A lot of fans, I'm not saying you, Rex, I'm saying that a lot of fans don't understand the concept of team basketball. They don't understand the concept of fit. They look at it as, oh, this player is averaging this many points. We need this many points. Oh, that would be a great deal. No, it's still stupid. Trading Vooch and Kobe in the second for well, keep in mind, the Bulls don't even have a second, so I don't know who was suggesting a second. The Bulls don't have a second-round pick to trade. It's still a stupid-ass trade, and I stand on it. That's still a dumb-ass trade. Kendall, Haize, my boy, what's up? Bulls need this dub tonight. Bulls need a dub every night, especially with how they're playing right now. Bulls Troy says, I saw a dumbass tweet that said, we can't let Randall look like Karl Malone. That is definitely a dumbass trade, bro. If we were going to trade DeMar, we should while his value is at his highest. He's only getting older. True, but keep in mind, expiring contracts have huge value in the NBA for a couple of different reasons. Expiring contracts, teams look at that as saying, hey, we can trade for this player and not necessarily have long-term money attached, but it also has the advantage of, with veterans, Vooch right now can sign an extension at any point. The Bulls can literally be 2 weeks away from the playoffs and extend Vooch. You can extend a veteran at any point in the season. So with DeMar being expiring next season, and I'm not saying I'm an advocate for the Bulls not moving DeMar now if a deal comes available, but he's still going to have value next season and for nothing else being an expiring contract. Keith Don't Miss says, Bulls love to say the right things. They show none of that shit they talk about on the court. Exactly, bro. Completely feel you with that one. Matthew says, how about DeMar DeRozan and Kobe for Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and a first? Well, the Suns would never do that trade. But if you convince the Suns to do that trade, you do that every day. Every single day you do that trade. Every single day. DeMar and Kobe for Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and a first, you do that every single day. I think the Bulls would have to give up the first in that case, but you would do that trade every single day. James Jameson says, their Bulls are never going to go full rebuild. Not as long as they have Zach LaVine on the contract. This team, and they shouldn't. Let's keep in mind, the Bulls should not go full rebuild. Now, they should, considering, depending on how the season ends, going complete retool, where you take a look and you say, all right, we're going to run it with Zach, Io, Patrick Williams. We're going to make sure they get tons of minutes and times to develop. Dalen Terry, let's work him in there as a starting three as well. Lonzo Ball, you're healthy. All right, Lonzo, you're a starting one. Io, you're a first guard off the bench. But as far as a full and entire rebuild where they go completely young and they're bad for a while, they're not going to do that. I can guarantee you right now that's not coming at all. Alana says, my mom told me that every time she watches the games and there's 5 minutes left and it's a tie, she knows it's a loss and turns it off. First of all, what's your mama look like? Let me stop messing with Alana. Brandon Thom says, I agree with trading DeMar. Honestly, he's the only one not fitting into what the team's trying to, nothing against him. I say use him to try to get OG Anunoby and maybe a solid big. Here's what I'll say, right, is that if you look at the times where the Bulls make their biggest runs to come back in games, some of those times DeMar isn't in the game. I'm not saying all the time. Some of it, Zach's not in the game. But some of those times, DeMar's not in the game. And as long as it keeps being proven that you have to stagger Zach and DeMar's minutes to have the best version of basketball you can play, there's always going to be an opportunity to change. DeMar is I would love to see that come to fruition. You can be a great passer all day, but if you're not passing, what the fuck is that great passing doing for us? DeMar DeRozan can be an amazing facilitator, but we haven't seen that. We have not seen that at all. And this is a great point by Certification Poppy. DeMar also had a GOAT head coach, to be fair. That is something that I will admit I even overlooked, bro. I even overlooked that. I completely understand that. And I'm glad that you pointed that out because, yeah, he had Pop as his head coach when DeMar really evolved his game. Billy Donovan, while I do disagree that he's a horrible coach, Pop he is not. PB and Pat, Zach IQ still needs to be fixed. Like, he can make them, but takes the shots at the worst. I completely agree with you. Zach's defense has grown tremendously this season. The shot percentage isn't falling, but as I've told you guys, it kind of falls in line with the last time Zach had knee surgery. I do think it's eventually going to come back to what we're used to Zach shooting. But that basketball IQ, that shit leaves much to be desired with Zach LaVine. The amount of times he takes, and it's not just he takes the shots with 18 seconds left in the shot clock, it's that they're just bad shots too, right? If you have an open shot, if you have a great shot, regardless of whatever time is left on the shot clock, take that shit. But it's the fact that Zach takes very questionable shots when there's tons of times left on the shot clock to run an actual play. Sydney Wallace, do you think if Lonzo isn't ready by next season, do you think they'll trade him? Totally just wondering. Thanks, Haize. That's from Cindy Wallace. Here's what I say. If Zoe isn't ready by next season, you can't trade him. Not that I don't think that they should. Ain't nobody's a player that at that point, keep in mind, at that point, it'll be about 19 months that Zoe hasn't played basketball. If you get to 19 months and a player hasn't played basketball, you can't trade them until you show something. Sure, you could trade them, but you're not getting much back. At that point, you have to at least let them play to prove that they can still play in the NBA. So if it's that long that we go without seeing Lonzo Ball play meaningful basketball, it's going to be real tough to trade a player like that. Real tough to trade a player like that. I already read that one. Let's go ahead and get into the next one. Big T says, what do y'all expect your star to do if others don't take shots or be aggressive with their touches? Lay off? No, it's not lay off DeMar. If you look at it, it's again, you have to actually watch games and watch and understand to evaluate basketball. It's not that players won't necessarily take shots. It's the fact that they don't get many opportunities to. You can't expect somebody to grow and develop parts of their game if you don't use them in parts of that game. No, DeMar is absolutely a bad passer. He goes to 15 dribbles and 12 pump fakes every single time down the stretch of games, and sometimes it works. Credit to him. But players aren't developing as long as you have a player that does those type of things. You got to look at it. Pop was able to develop players with having generational players on his team. The Bulls, right, and it's not all on DeMar. Let me say that. Part of it's on the coaching staff as well. But as long as that continues to happen, you can't just lay off. It's not lay off DeMar. DeMar is absolutely part of the problem. Kendall Riviera says a team with Zach, Io, Pat Will, and Lonzo Ball, and no DeMar and Vooch wouldn't be that bad for next year, plus a few minor moves. Ain't super bad. What do you think, Haize? I'll say that team has a possibility of being one of those really scrappy teams that maybe sneaks into the play-in, but doesn't accomplish much unless Io or Pat make considerable leaps. I still think that's much better than what we watch. For example, the teams that we watched for years before DeMar and Vooch came here, that team's still better than those teams. But I don't know if that necessarily gets it done. You still need to add some things to the team. They put Jamar on Kawhi and PG, and he was on their ass. I mean, I feel you, bro. I feel you. Rex Smith says, I agree he wouldn't get as many shots here with Billy D. That part I agree with. You do have two good scorers here in Zach and DeMar. No one is going to be a perfect fit. No, I disagree with that. There are absolutely players that can fit perfectly. But again, to the credit of your point, part of that perfect fit has to come by Billy Donovan recognizing and putting those players in good situations. I've always said this. It's twofold with the issues that I have here with this team. It's that I think that right now, right, until Billy Donovan shows me different, even if you got the perfect player to fit next and fit in this team's lineup, I don't trust Billy Donovan to put those players in good situations. I just don't. BDB says, what is the head office saying? They're working fundamentals this year and will make a real one next year. Well, keep in mind, I told you guys this. If you watch my channel regularly, the Chicago Bulls have an opportunity to have $15 million in true cap space next season and a $2 million mid-level exception. So they can add talent. I think a lot of Bulls fans are under the impression that the Bulls really don't have the ability to add talent to this roster. They do. But the thing is, the fact that it's this, right, too. Like, do you trust the front office to allow them that? The scenario I just painted would include the Bulls going into the luxury tax. Do you trust Jerry Reinsdorf or Michael Reinsdorf to allow that? It's so much with this team. So much. Let's be honest, the trade won't help the same. What we really help is the team, I guess is what you mean, is looking in the mirror and playing together as a team. A lot of ball movement is simple because we've been in games. Well, no, a trade could help this team. You just have to make the right trade. I think it's crazy to blindly say a trade won't help this team. It absolutely could. Salute Haize in the chat. That's from Brandon Eljet. What's going on, bro? Jimmy in the building. I'm not even going. Sabrinsky? Jimmy Sabrinsky. Hi, bro. How are you doing? If the Bulls could limit the turnovers and the fouls, they could win tonight. Absolutely agree with you. And play defense, for sure. T-Mac in the building says, yo, Haize, love your pre-half and post-game shows. Cheers for the content. Appreciate you for being here and enjoying the content, bro. Because if Zoe gets healthy and we are a sub-500 team, it won't matter this year anyway. Well, keep in mind, anybody who's hoping that Zoe is going to come back even if he does come back this season, and be impact, when you show me a player that was gone a year out of basketball and didn't have some type of setback, didn't have some type of momentary, like a extended period of time of just not being themselves. It could take a minute. What's up, Haize? Remaining positive about tonight's game. Hopefully they don't let us down and make adjustments needed to pull out a much-needed win. That one's from John Michael. Completely agree with you, fam. Steve-O says, keep telling motherfuckers that, oh, look at Grant, look at Turner. They all fit out there on their own team. Not here. Grant will be in the corner waiting on the ball just like people. Completely agree with you. And that's one thing that fans typically do, and I don't fault them for it, do overlook. It's like, you got to understand how the coach is going to use those players. I don't trust Billy Donovan. Matter of fact, I'll say right now, the Bulls could bring in Jeremy Grant and Miles Turner, and I don't trust that Billy Donovan will use them correctly. Shay says, make Julius Randle go right. Absolutely. All he does is go left. Haize, which team has the worst fan? Well, keep in mind, I don't know every team's fan base intimately. I know the Chicago Bulls fan base because I've been a part of this fan base my whole life, but I don't know well enough about every team's fan base to really talk intelligently about it. I will say this, among Chicago teams, the Bears have the worst fan base. Absolutely, the Bears have the worst fan base. But they also have the most passionate fan base, but they have the worst fan base. Brandon Peck says, what's good, Haize? We get Io back. Shout out to Io DeSumo. Reginald Short says, hey, sorry I'm late. Trying to decide if the Bulls lose again, whether or not to watch Blade 2 to pick myself up. How about Kobe Marco second for Vanderbilt Walker? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're not giving up Walker Kessler. I can tell you that right now. Now, if they would take Kobe and Marco in the second week, keep in mind, I mean, you can trade seconds whenever. I don't think we have a second available until 2026. I think is when is the next second we have available. I don't think that gets it done, personally. Steve-O Speaks says, knowing the Bulls, Vooch has been signed since last month. Well, keep in mind, he did have an interview in which he said that he thinks the team's waiting to see. So I don't think it, but I definitely get what you're saying with that. I kind of wish we got Brunson on this team. Imagine him playing alongside our big three. Him leaving Dallas has made them a middle-tier team, and the Knicks a playoff team, in my opinion. No, well, keep in mind, that's a lot of shots to go around. The Bulls wouldn't have got Brunson. They wouldn't have had the money to sign Brunson, first off. Him leaving Dallas is also the fact that Dallas is just, outside of Luka, that's a very quick. What is the second best player, Christian Wood? Spencer Dinwiddie? The Dallas Mavericks just have not put a very solid team around Luka Doncic. They just haven't. And a video that I'm going to do on NBA Central is if Luka Doncic, like how the Dallas Mavericks trying to find the best team to put around Luka Doncic could completely change the trade deadline. Black Dave says, I think you keep Lonzo when he's right. He's righteous. He literally was the energizer for this team. He made them a running team, shy, slam, and jammer. What he does in transition is amazing. You can't deny what he does. Basketball movement is key, not isolation ball. The biggest problem, along with DeMar DeRozan, and not playing defense. Agree with you. Chico, Haize, I love you, but Mikal ain't that guy. I didn't say he was that guy. So I didn't say he was that guy. Steve, I see your comment. I'm gonna have to let that go. PB and Patch says, what happened to the DeRozan against the Bucks? He was playing defense like he never had before and just stopped. Well, again, like you said it. He was playing defense like he never had before. This is DeMar DeRozan's worst defensive season by far for a player that already wasn't good defensively. The Bulls are missing a real point guard at this point. Until then, each player is playing a lot of iso ball. Well, keep in mind, Billy Donovan, even when he did have a real point guard, didn't use them as a point guard. When do you play for Greg Popovich? You're going to play the way he wants you to play, or else you're going to sit your ass on the bench. When do you play? When you do play, I guess is what you mean. I'm sorry, that threw me off there for a second there, Shay. I agree with you. Completely agree. Shay, Pop doesn't take that shit. Ricky Fontaine, great point here. DeMar passes because he has to, not because he should. Great. James Freeman, you're an idiot. Zach isn't like, no. DeMar is absolutely, and this is how I know people don't know how to watch basketball outside of narratives. DeMar DeRozan is playing generationally terrible defense. So he absolutely is part of the problem. Absolutely is part of the problem. DeMar isn't a good passer. Spurs offense is pure ball movement, and Pop has been preaching that since before I was born. He assists had no choice but to go up. Exactly. I agree with you. Jack says, how solid would you say P. Will and Io Dalen are our future? Maybe not all, but one or two of them. I know. I would say all of them, as of right now, are a big part of the Bulls' future. Huge parts of the Bulls' future. But we actually have to see them be put in positions to grow their game. Right now, they're still playing and doing the things, and they've probably learned better instincts, but they haven't really had an opportunity of the ball in their hands enough to really grow their game. John Michael in the building says, what up, Haize? Trying to remain positive about this game. Hopefully they make the adjustments needed to come out with a much-needed win. From your mouth to God's ears, bro. Vooch for Porto and McDermott. If they want Portland first, they can have it too. Porto is a good-ass passer as Vooch and is shooting 64%, can play pick-and-roll defense and rim protect, and Drummond can shoot. I agree with you. I don't know. I've said this before. If any players, as much as I'm not saying that this is the player that I would want to see the move, but if any player out the Bulls' big three is going to be moved, it's probably going to be Vooch. The fact that he's an expiring contract. Jack Holland says 152 watching, only 23 likes. Come on, show our guys some love. Come on, man. And hit that subscribe button as well. Hey, Haize, I would like to say that our draft for the 2022 is still bad, but people can have their mind change. That our draft for the 2022, I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, I think getting Dalen Terry has been great. Like, Dalen Terry has tons of talent. Tons of talent. Kendall says, we all know this team ain't it. The answer to all our questions is seeing Terry, Pat, and Io if they're going to take that leap. If not, blow that shit up. Like I said, this team isn't likely to blow it up, but I get what you're saying. Hey, Haize, do you think if we can get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield that we can be a competitive team, say for Vooch, Kobe, and Portland? That's not enough to get it done. Look at the contracts of Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. That is, if I'm not mistaken, that's about $35 million in salary cap. Kobe and Vooch doesn't get you. It gets you close. Kobe and Vooch gets you to about $30 million, so you still need to fill out the rest. But again, Miles Turner still not the passer Vooch is. Better shooter, better shot blocker, but we'll see. Brian Ventura says, I miss Io. That poor man's dick broke. Definitely a dick contusion. Ricky Fontaine says, Dolphins have the worst fan base. They're the Raptors of football. The Raptors fan base is terrible. Definitely a terrible fan base. They don't know what the fuck they be talking about. Majestic says, has Marco been playing well? Yes, Marco kills it in the G League. Absolutely kills it in the G League. Super chat. That's from Gary. Thank you for supporting the channel. Haize dropping another vid tonight. Do you see my first one? I did see your first one, bro. Very good video. I have some pointers. We need to talk. But very good video. I like what you're doing over there. Alana says, I feel like those first couple of games, DeMar was passing the ball a lot. Then when people started missing too many shots, he decided not to. Just my thoughts. I'd have to go back and watch those games, man. Ma'am. I should say ma'am, not ma'am. Man. Jose Vega says, I say by Vooch, he plays too soft. When he plays against another true big, he stays outside the perimeter instead of banging in the paint. Well, again, that's the design of the offense. You can tell that is literally the design of the offense. Philly easily has, see, that's the thing. I have no idea what Philly fan base does. I'm not ingrained in that, and I'm not ingrained in that fan base at all. At least Jordan era is more recent than the Knicks title for sure. Knicks suck. Do you watch the Bulls game on ESPN or League Pass? Doris Burke was praising Patrick Williams. Well, at least where I am, you can't watch a game that's televised on ESPN on League Pass. So I watched it on ESPN. But yeah, I mean, I think the league recognizes what Patrick Williams can be, and he's it goes overlooked. But what Patrick Williams has been more aggressive. Patrick Williams isn't as reluctant as a shooter. He's still a reluctant shooter, but he's been pretty solid. Lil Squad says, how many times back and forth are the Bulls going to let Dalen Terry go back to the all season? Dalen Terry is not going to play meaningful minutes at the NBA level all season. Don't even worry about it. Don't stress yourself. Don't get frustrated. It's not coming. It's just not coming. Philly fan base don't even care about their own team, so I don't mind them, to be honest. They are like first to tear down their own team. Well, yeah, I mean, that sounds like Philly. Haize, I know Billy does this to Patrick, but why haven't we seen more than a shred of Dalen so far this season? Because he's a rookie. But we're going to see Dalen heavily next season. Don't even worry about it. Only true basketball watchers know about Pat Will's game and DeMar holding it back, in my opinion. I agree with you. The amount of Bulls fans that I completely shit on and shut down on Twitter is when they're like, oh, they look at the box score. Oh, P. Will, your 4th overall pick only had 10 points this game. And I'm like, yeah, you fucking dumbass. He had 10 points on 8 shots. It's pretty good efficiency. So, like, I told you guys this before. You can always tell a box score watcher versus a basketball watcher. You can always tell those things. Vooch situation bothers me. I defended him last year, and I was stoked at the beginning of the season. But he's so bad now that I would take 20 starting. Oh, well, then I'm sorry, Namath, you'd be stupid then. There's not 20 centers in the league better than Nikola Vucevic. There just isn't. There are not 20. Vooch is still a top 10 center in the NBA. Do you think the front office will ever be able to leap over the giant hurdle that is our ownership being stingy? Yeah, but you have to get things right. You have to get the moves right to do so. Paxson was able to overcome the cheap front office to build a team that I still think had Derrick Rose not tore his ACL, that team would have been in a finals eventually. I can't say they would have won it. They would have made it to a finals. You can absolutely do it, but you have to make this right decisions. You have to be smart. You have to have damn near a perfectly constructed team to do so. To be honest, I know this may sound annoying, but Pugh has so much potential, and I hope that in the future he gets a better chance to display his offense. It's not even necessarily the shots, right? By offense, it's not even necessarily the shots. P. Will has such a high ceiling to be a point forward in this league. P will literally make half his shots all the time and locks up sometimes. Dude can be a legit 3-and-D player. Worst case, a Robert Covington. Love that. Love what you said there, Kendall. Absolutely love what you said there. Big Poppy Mofongo says, if you look up Patrick Williams' rookie season, you saw the potential of Patrick Williams when he becomes a first or second option. I agree with you. Not even just, like I've said it before, I've given you guys the stats. When Patrick Williams has double-digit shot attempts, it's dropped some, but he averages about 16, 6, and 5. But he doesn't get that opportunity on this team. Bulls Troy says, Knicks fans don't want to be Knicks fans. Why would fans from other teams want to be Knicks fans? Ha, ha, ha. Absolutely. Agreed. Oh, listen. Hold on. Wait a second. Give me 1 second.
We in the chat want to hear about the great New York Knicks. The same New York Knicks that haven't won a playoff series since most of this chat has been in diapers. The same New York Knicks that ownership doesn't give a damn about their team. The same New York Knicks that absolutely will fail every year from now into eternity. That's what Big Task at Hand has to say. You know why?
You know why his name is Big Task at Hand? Because being a Knicks fan is a big-ass task because that team is never accomplishing shit. Like, for real. Like, it's so fun. Like, if Knicks fans were honest with themselves, Knicks fans know that the most they have is the regular season. The Knicks fans better be absolutely relying in this team's regular season right now because they're not doing shit in life. Like, legit, New York Knicks fans are I was about to make a comparison that may get me canceled. I absolutely was going to get canceled at that. Bro, might as well be a Detroit Lions fan too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Guy Davis says, I've been waiting for Haize to read bro's man. You got to ignore Knicks fans, right? You got to ignore Knicks fans like most people ignore the New York Knicks. Grind Fest says, we can't trip because the New York Knicks in the same. No, the New York Knicks are in a much dire situation because guess what? Their owner, A, doesn't give a shit about them. B, they're like, and that's the funny thing. New York Knicks fans, this is how you know that their franchise sucks, right? Because the Bulls are 11-16, and the Bulls fans are completely disappointed. The New York Knicks are 15-13, 2 games above 500, and their fan base is acting like they're a title contender. You know why they're acting like they're a title contender? Because they know their team sucks. When you're 15-13 and your team has not sniffed winning a playoff series in 20 years, you act like you won the championship, right? Because you can't do shit. I tell you what. Oh, great question here. I'm about to bust his ass. Hold on, wait a second. Where did he go? What have the Bulls done before and after Jordan though? Oh, the Bulls had 10 plus seasons of being of at least 500 and above. The Bulls have won over 10 playoff series since Michael Jordan. What have you guys done since Patrick Ewing? Paid a bunch. Y'all traded for fucking Steve Francis when he was washed. You traded for Baron Davis when he was damn near washed. You signed Amari Stoudemire, who became washed in your franchise. You traded for Carmelo Anthony, who did nothing for your franchise. You have no playoff victories, no series victories to show for spending millions of dollars. You know what the Bulls have to show for that? MVP, several All-Stars, 9 straight years of being over 500, and over 10 plus playoff series victories. What do you guys got to show for that? Not a goddamn thing, but $1 slice of pizza. That's what you guys got to show for that. $1 slice of pizza. You are literally in the #1 market in the world and have failed for 22 years. 22 of them. 22 years have you guys sucked. You aren't even the best team in your city. You're not the best team in your city. Super chat. This is from Chi-Town Javier says, Knicks' best years were spent being Jordan's personal punching bag. Big facts. Big facts. You know what? I will say this. The one thing that Knicks fans do have is Knicks Fans TV, who is a great content creator. Amazing content creator. Amazing content creator. This is funny. I love how the Nets fans think they're the greatest team ever. They won one game. They haven't really done anything against the Bulls for years. Agreed. Completely agree with you. I literally just laid out everything that the Bulls did that the Knicks haven't done. So you were just literally saying shit just to say shit. Like, and that's the problem. You are in a Bulls chat. You know why you're in a Bulls chat? Because that's the best you got. Because you got nothing. You can't go anywhere and be like, hey, let me be amongst Knicks fans that understand how great this team is. Because most Knicks fans that are realistic know this team sucks. Shy City 1 says, oh, Haize, we don't argue with Knicks fans. That's blows. I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. That is funny. Are you not a dumbass? You brought up Jordan. See, this is how you know when people lose arguments. When they bring something up and be like, oh, you brought it up. Did he not just say in the comments, what have you guys done since Jordan? You brought up Jordan. You fucking idiot. Like, I know the New York public school system isn't much to cry home about. I understand that. But your comprehension got to be better than this, bro. Your comprehension got to be better than this, man. Like, your mom didn't go from sucking dick under piss-smelling bridges for you to be in here getting cooked in the Chicago Bulls fan chat. It didn't happen that way. Your mama was on her knees under a bridge that smelled like piss, sucking dick. And you in a Bulls fan chat getting cooked right now. That's losing on a different level, bro. That's literally losing on a different level. Like it's just that's wild, bro. That's wild to me. That's wild to me. That's wild, fam. That is literally wild. That's crazy to me. Oh, they did have Lynn Sandy. They had Lynn Sandy. They gave him away for some popcorn. That's crazy. Oh, man, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. That's funny, bro. Shay says, I noticed something the New York Knicks have always picked up our sloppy seconds. Tyson Chandler, Taj Gitcham, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah. Damn, that's crazy, bro. That's wild, fam. That's wild. And see, this is how you know when people are sensitive, when they try to be like, oh, you're mad because you roasted me. No, I roasted you for fun. I'm actually having fun with this. I'm literally just having fun with this. You know, see, now this is, now he just has to take it. Like his mama just took it under that bridge. Now he just has to take it. Right? Like literally your mama got piss stains on her kneecaps from sucking Dominican dick under a piss stained bridge, and you in our chat worried about us. You worried about Bulls fans. You need to worry about the legacy of the cum stains under your mama's chin. And she got hairs under that motherfucker. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Great point says, Sluggo says, dude thinks we mad, but we're laughing at his expense. That people are literally idiots, bro. That's crazy. That's wild, bro. You know that's crazy, bro. That's wild. It says, I fuck with you, Haize, for I appreciate you, brother. All right, man. We got 4 minutes into this game. I will be back for halftime. Make sure you guys are tuned in here for the halftime hangout. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Make sure you hit that like button as you go. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. I love you guys, man. Let's see what the Bulls do today. It's probably going to be a frustrating night for the Bulls, but you know, it is what it is, man. You can only do what you can do. I love you guys, man. Go Bulls. See red. Love you guys, man. Peace, y'all.